Keanu Reeves' breathtaking appearance at E3 was one of the highlights of the show. He and other actors like Jon Bernthal and Norman Reedus have done an incredible job of bringing excitement to games over the past few months, and it made me think about all the times that famous actors were featured in a video game. So here it is, a video of my favorite appearances from actors in games. Remember that these are just some of my favorites, so I likely won't cover every example. Enjoy! The first time I heard Officer Tenpenny speak in San Andreas, I knew it had to be Samuel L. Jackson's unmistakable voice. Tenpenny is one of my favorite cop characters in gaming history, and it's a good example of how star power can change a video game. At the beginning of the game, it seems like Tenpenny is just a typical LA cop, and his understanding of the streets is what made him relatable, even though he is Grove Street's worst enemy. But as time passes, we find out more about Jackson's character, and his sinister involvement in the Los Santos world of crime. Without Sam Jackson's voice, this character wouldn't be the same, and it's one of the best appearances from an actor in a video game of all time. Oh yeah, Chris Penn is his partner, if you didn't already know that. Liam Neeson is your dad in Fallout 3. He plays James, and his iconic voice guides you through the first few moments of the game. The game designers intended the character of James to be very similar to the stance, behaviors, and traits of Neeson, even in the character model, and it's easy to tell. I remember being overjoyed when I heard his voice the first time I played the game, and to have one of my favorite actors in one of my favorite game series is one of the coolest memories I have. Couple that with the fact that he makes the ultimate sacrifice for his son, and you have an amazing example of how video game characters can come to life and make you feel the same things that movies do. I'm going to include a 2-in-1 for Elder Scrolls Oblivion. That's because I remember two characters bringing that game to life in the first few minutes. Sean Bean and Patrick Stewart played Martin and Uriel Septum respectively, and it hooked me into one of the greatest games of all time no more than an hour into the game. I remember hearing Uriel speak for the first time and asking myself, wait, is that John Luke? I'll never forget that moment, and the fact that his illegitimate son is voiced by Ned Stark makes it even more enjoyable. Okay, here's one that I both love and hate. Kiefer Sutherland isn't David Hayter. He never could be, he never will be. But I'll admit that he did a decent job of voicing Venom Snake in MGS5. Thankfully, he doesn't have as many lines as Snake typically does, and it didn't feel like he was being shoved down my throat. I'm an unabashed Metal Gear fanboy, so the removal of Hayter will never be something I'm happy about. But, in hindsight, I can't quite imagine Venom without Kiefer's voice. Meh, it happened. I've learned to accept it. Okay, so this one's a bit weird, but Christopher Walken's intro to True Crime Streets of LA has always been imprinted into my mind. That's likely because anything that Christopher Walken says is normally imprinted into my mind. He's one of my favorite actors because of his odd but satisfying manner of speech, and I remember freaking out when I heard his voice come on to start the game. Without his introduction to Nick and the plot of the game, I'm not sure I would have paid as much attention. Alright, I'm going back to San Andreas for this next one because of this one memory that has always stuck with me. There's this one mission called Air Raid that I really sucked at, so I ended up having to come back later and retry it a lot. That also meant that I had to listen to David Cross deliver a weird and miserable cutscene several times, and I'll never forget that. Cross has always seemed a little different to me, and he has one of the most unique nerd voices I've ever heard. I don't think I'll ever forget Zero and his depressing stories and his overall weirdness in that game. I still hate that mission though. Member Dinklebot? I member Dinklebot. The first time I came to life in the Cosmodrome, I was greeted by a robot Tyrion Lannister, and that's still destiny to me. I like Nolan North, he's cool, he has a good voice, but my ghost will not be the same until I get Peter Dinklage back. Bungie said they went with North after The Taken King because they wanted the ghost to provide more dialogue, to help players understand what was happening more. I never understood why that meant they needed a new voice actor though. Is there some reason Dinklage couldn't record more lines? I don't know, but I do miss him being my space companion. Nolan's aight too though. Well, those are some of my favorites. Some honorable mentions are Mark Hamill as the Joker, Seth Green as just Joker, Ray Liotta as Tommy Vercetti, and Gary Oldman as Sergeant Reznov in Call of Duty. I missed a lot, and again, these are just some of my favorites. What are yours? Tell me in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to share it on Reddit, Twitter, Facebook, and with all of your friends. Also check out our Patreon if you're into that. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you guys on the next one.